Hi everyone and welcome to SWPL My Story, and today we are joined by Equity Director of Glasgow Saints, Lyndsay Clelland. How are you, Lyndsay?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great and thanks for joining us. So this one came around a little differently. It was an event that you guys are a part, it's a wider event, but you're running your own part of it through your club at Glasgow Saints. And then when I seen you guys were doing it, I reached out and thought, why don't we get you on? You can tell us a lot more about it. So just first of all, to kick us off, tell us a little bit about Glasgow Saints, the project itself, the team, the clubs that are involved, and what is the aim of it.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. So Glasgow Saints, we're a football team based in the East End Glasgow, registered charity. We've got three kind of teams across our club: Glasgow Saints, Denison Saints, who are our men's non-binary teams, and Glasgow Saints women non-binary team. So we started back in 2020, and our overall kind of charitable aim is to tackle loneliness and isolation in the community, to tackle food poverty, and to create a kind of safe space for everyone in the community to get together, play sports, socialise, and just it kind of came out of COVID really, where people were, in lockdown, and myself included, kind of not going out and not speaking to anyone for months, and it was just an opportunity that a few people kind of saw and put together to do something good for people in the East End. So that's how we kind of came about. We've done a lot of kind of charity work for ourselves as well, but we also kind of raise money for local charities, local food banks, and we also raise money for one of the local homeless charities in Glasgow as well. So we try and do a lot of community work as well as the football aspect of it. We've got our men's and non-binary teams play in the GCCL league at 11-a-side level. We've also got over 35 session that we've just started running. We've got our women's non-binary team who play recreationally. They also have 5 and 7-a-sides, and we're looking to kind of build that on to 8 and 9-a-sides and potentially 11-a-sides in the future as well. So as a club, lots going on. We do a lot of stuff, but it is really that kind of safe and inclusive space for all that we're trying to be, and that's the kind of founding principles of the club, which is why we've started doing our Football V Homophobia events. This is our second one. We started last year during Month of Action, and we're hoping to do a kind of bigger and better one this year.
So the football versus homophobia initiative, it's massive, but obviously it then relies on clubs and organisations to then take that on and run their own events. So can you just tell us, I think it's this Friday that your one is
Yes.
going to be taking place. So just tell us a little bit about that, what it's going to entail. We were chatting off camera, numbers are looking great for attendance, but there's obviously still opportunities to go along. So if you tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So originally, I say we started it last year for Month of Action. We were doing, our dedicated games across all of our teams and stuff, and we thought, what can we do? What can we do to do some more, to raise some more awareness and raise money and kind of have that impact in the local community, as well as that kind of national raising awareness piece. So what we what we've done last year and what we're recreating again, because it was quite successful last year, is an open training session. It's all about, we're encouraging kind of flamboyant outfits, come and have fun, whether you play for a team, whether you're a professional, whether you've never kicked a ball before. Everyone's welcome to come along, and we'll do some fun drills, some training, and some games at the end of it. And it's just about getting people from not just different teams across the community, but just from all different aspects of life. Where it's open to friends, family members, colleagues, everyone to come along and get together for a common cause. This year we're also having a raffle with some cool prizes and a bake sale as well to raise money, and all of that's going to go towards causes that support LGBTQ plus folk in football. Last year, the money that we raised, we bought LGBTQ sports people, kind of books and stories about people, elite athletes in sport who were queer or had come from diverse backgrounds and managed to achieve great things. We bought books from a local queer bookstop, so we're supporting the kind of local community that way. But also we then kind of distributed those books towards Glasgow libraries so that people who maybe didn't normally have that access to that representation could see that and see themselves in it. and hopefully that would encourage them to participate in sport, which is good for kind of physical well-being, but also that mental and emotional and social side of it as well. So that was what we did last year, and this year we're kind of trying to go, that's a longer term impact, but what can we also do in the short term as well? So for the kind of longer term impact, we're raising money for putting our LGBTQ plus players through refereeing and coaching badges. We know that there's a kind of a lack of representation in both of those fields for queer folk. So we're hopefully going to be able to put a lot of our players through that, provide them with that personal development, and also provide them with more opportunities within football themselves and increased representation. And in the kind of shorter term, but hopefully long-term impact as well, we're raising money for Gender Goals, who are Scotland's first trans and non-binary football team. We are very, very lucky to play with them in our fives and sevens leagues. They've done so much hard work, particularly I'll shout out Jasmine, their president, who is not only an incredible footballer, but she's done so much hard work and done so much good stuff in creating this really safe space and safe community for trans and non-binary people to come and play football, and just be around people who have had the same kind of experiences as them. And while we're really lucky to have lots of teams in our little area that are inclusive to trans and non-binary folk, there's never been a specific space for them, which is really important to have. And Jasmine's done such great work in setting that up, and all the rest of the board members like Eric and Clara, who, and everyone else I'll forget to name, but we all know how hard it is to like actually set up a football team and get it running, like admin and time and emotional labor, and try to get everyone together, and training fees and pitch fees and match fees and kit costs. There's so many aspects of it that are just really, really difficult to do, never mind with the added barriers of homophobia and transphobia in football, and trying to be accepted in there and not face discrimination or harassment. So we're raising money for them to hopefully help them continue to provide that safe space and repay the members who have done all the hard work so far, and help them continue to get maybe like a permanent training space, to fund kits, to help fund, match fees and game fees and things for the future, and just also to raise awareness of their existence, because fairly new team still, although they've done lots of great work in raising awareness and being out and about. We'd love for more trans and non-binary folk to know about them and to come back into football. So if we can raise a bit of money and let people know that they exist and get them to come along and feel encouraged and safe to get into football, then that's the whole aim of the event. So I think that kind of covers it all. But yeah, so it's on Friday night at Whitehill Secondary School pitches in Denniston. It's a ticketed event. All the money is going to be split towards those causes. I say we'll have a raffle and a bake sale too, where you can win, prizes like a Google Home or restaurant vouchers, or we've got a couple of like drinks things as well. There's a variety of cool prizes as well that you can come down and win. And even if you can't attend, all ticket sales will be treated as donations. So you can buy a ticket they're available on the Glasgow Saints merchandise website. They're £5 a ticket, and as I say, all the money goes towards some really important causes. And yeah, it's going to be a good night. Really looking forward to it. There's also a video of last year's event on our Instagram, at Glasgow Saints FC and at GSFC Women, where you can see all of the fun we had last year, if that entices folk to come along.
That all sounds great and really worthwhile cause. Just to go back to something that you mentioned, when the aim of it essentially providing a safe space for people to go and play and be feeling accepted of. And something you mentioned was you were providing books, and it was relating to athletes and them telling their stories. Now, something that we talk about on here quite a lot is obviously things are changing within the women's game. It's getting very well represented in the media when games are getting shown on Sky and BBC, etc. Is that something longer term that you feel that there needs to be role models at an elite level for people to look up to? Because we've just seen that in the female game, as I've said, and now girls coming through have got role models to look towards, and they think they need that in the LGBTQ community as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important in encouraging people to, I should say, like feel safe and comfortable playing football. And you know, maybe there's this perception of it being better in the women's game. There are more openly queer players who can come out, queer coaches, um, but we know there's huge problems still within both sides of the game, and particularly the men's game. We're still seeing lots of first professional, players coming out across the men's game. It's great we've got to that point, but there's still a handful of people that I can think of that have come out and been open, and we know that they're still facing discrimination, and we know that there's a problem with homophobic and transphobic insults that get thrown at players from all sexualities at all levels of the men's game. So there really is a need for more representation there, and also more action on homophobia and transphobia. But coming back to the women's game, whilst there's maybe more representation there, which is really, really great and makes people feel really kind of safe and welcome, there is still a problem with transphobia. And I know it's like Football V Homophobia month, but there is transphobia within that, and particularly towards trans women in the game. And there's more representation needed there, which is why we're so kind of keen to not just raise money for gender goals, but to also promote them and highlight them in the work that they're doing, because we've heard stories, you hear stories all the time anecdotally of insults being thrown towards players that are transphobic or homophobic, and it does put people off from playing. And there's been articles across all sports, not just football, about how trans women are taking up spaces for real quote women in sports, which is total nonsense because trans women are real women, but also they're facing like horrendous harassment and abuse and being pushed out of sports, and already you're facing the kind of the general kind of harassment and discrimination from being a trans person or a trans woman, and then you're being pushed out of communities which are supposed to be football's a team sport. It's supposed to bring people in the community together, and you're being pushed out of those spaces. You're being pushed out of things that let you play physical sports, have that emotional connection with other people, the benefits of sport for mental well-being as well. When you're getting pushed out of all of that as well, it's really difficult and it's really harmful for trans people. So that's a kind of long-winded way of saying that it is really, really important that on both sides, like the men's and the women's side of the game, we're having role models and representation and allies speaking out and saying, queer people belong in sports, trans people belong in sports, and kind of actively speaking out against homophobia and transphobia, and raising awareness of like Football V Homophobia month of action. And it's really positive. We're seeing lots of great strides. It's just continuing to push that and make sure that there are role models for the future, so that like kids and people who are wanting to get back into football now feel that they can do that and feel that they can get back into the sport.
That's great. I really admire the passion that you're showing and everything that you're doing. I wish you all the very best for your event on Friday.
Thank you. Yeah, we're really looking forward to it and hope that we can raise a lot of money and have a lot of fun as well.
That's great, Lindsay. Thanks very much. And thanks everyone for joining us on SWPL My Story.